Hello, my friends. Matt Kavanaugh, Alicia Kavanaugh, talking to you again. We wanted to come and talk about the word of the month this month.
Yeah.
And we decided, we do a lot of these social media stuff where we're going, here's some advice on home buying and here's some tips and we just wanted to talk more about just kind of who we are and sort of what we stand for, the things we believe in a little bit. So we're not going to get too preachy, I promise, but at the same time to make sure that you know that there is like a ground to all of this. There's something that helps us level out, and that's God. And so for us, just a giant part of our lives and the things that we do. And so when we thought about this month's word for the month, it is
grateful.
And as we're thinking about, just what we're grateful for, and Alicia's really good about journaling, so she'll go back and she'll point out to me, do you know where we were when this was happening in our lives and where we are right now? And oh my gosh, just what we've been through the last year. And we were so excited to get 2023 over when we thought 2023 was going to be awesome as we were coming out of 2022. And grateful is not just for this month, but something that really I can think back to last year and just the way we came through last year. And it seemed hard, right? And there's difficult things going on, but man, we just are so blessed.
Yeah. Looking back and seeing, a lot of people got out of the business.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people couldn't do it. And it was rough,
Sure.
And so the fact that we're really on the other side, like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yes.
And it's just been good because we've been able to root ourselves in, all right, like, what is our source?
Yes.
Right? Like,
right.
Is the economy being great our source, and
that
the industry,
paycheck.
that paycheck?
Yeah.
And it was obvious. There were some months where it was like, is there going to be a paycheck?
Right.
Are we going to need to pull from our savings account to cover our team, to cover us?
And we had to do that.
Yeah. And so it's just, but the fact that we had money to pull from, like that, even in the beginning when we got married, we had nothing. Like,
less than nothing.
Like,
we owed much more than we had.
Yes, like $200,000 in debt buried, and that didn't include our mortgage.
Yeah.
And so looking, and Matt's right, I look back often. I actually have like a checkbook, like a digital checkbook that goes back to like 2010. And I love going back because it goes through like what we made, what we spent, what our monthly budget was, our debts, and just seeing over the years what really God has just brought us through, right?
That's amazing.
It gives you hope.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were thinking about even going into 2024, and Alicia came to me because there's some pastors we listened to, and they were doing a corporate fast. And I think that we've definitely done fast before, like you did it or I would do it, but we've never really done one together, and definitely not one this long. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, it was KCM, Kenneth Copeland Ministries. Their church is Eagle Mountain International Church, and it was a 21-day corporate fast. There were 7 things that we were praying for specifically, and it wasn't to give up food for 21 days. It was like they gave us time like 2 weeks before the fast to really press in and see what God is telling us specifically that we need to give up.
Yes.
So before the fast, I think God was working on me about coffee and my obsession with coffee.
We love coffee.
Love it.
So good.
And I was like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's coffee, right? And Pastor George, at one of the sermons, he was like, let's overcome coffee. And I was like, it just stung me. Like, I could feel myself being like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just decided, I was like, look, I want this to be different. I want this to be a sacrifice. And that was a sacrifice. Like, the first week, I told Andrew and Matt, there was one day, like, I'm holding a coffee because I was making coffee for Matt, and I wanted to jump in. Like, I just wanted to, like, smother myself in coffee. Like,
she wasn't drinking coffee, but sometimes my coffee would show up with a lip mark on it. She would, like, just smell the coffee, but she couldn't drink it. It was great.
Like, oh my gosh. But it was, we had a lot of breakthrough in the 21 days.
And I gave up on the start of, I didn't drink coffee either. So we went, what did we not do? We didn't have.
No sugar, no bread.
That was crazy.
No coffee. And the fourth one was no complaining.
Oh, we should talk about
that.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize how often we complain.
Oh my gosh.
It was interesting because there's things you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I can't say that. I can't say that either.
We were quiet a lot for the first week.
Lot. Because we were like, nothing. No, I'm fine. Yeah, it was so interesting to see. And really what that did for us was we just stopped talking if we didn't have anything nice to say, right? Yeah. And then it got us to the point pretty quickly where it was like, okay, so we either just need to speak words of life, right?
Yeah.
Or just don't speak at all.
Yeah. And you know what was really cool for me is that as we were going through the not complaining, I realized because I wasn't telling people about what I was going to be complaining about, I would only go through that cycle of complaining in my head one time, and then I didn't bring it up again and again and again. So I got over stuff faster because I wasn't living in the complaints. I was moving to the next moment. So there were a few times I was like, I can't believe I'm not mad about that anymore. But it's just because I stopped talking about it. It was beautiful. Yeah.
I'm reading a book right now by Joyce Myers.
Alicia reads a whole lot, guys, so she always does this. It's good.
Sorry. Battlefield of the Mind, and she talks a lot about complaining and how you can stop. Really, the first thought we always talk about, right? First thought is something you may not be able to control.
The second you didn't come up with the first thought,
right?
Yes, for sure.
And so it's like, what are you doing in your thought life?
Yeah.
And the no complaining thing, honestly, was a game changer.
Yeah. And it's funny, that first thought is maybe not your thought, right? But the second thought, letting it go through, a good way of thinking about that, remember my pastor was telling me, like, so, something catches your eye, right? For dudes, like a girl catches your eye or something, right? That first time you see that person, beautiful, not beautiful, whatever it is, like, you just happen to see them. But it's that second look. That's the one that gets you in trouble, right? It's the same thing with the thought. Like, whenever it pops up, like, don't feel bad, don't feel guilty about that first thought. Like, that's just human. But don't linger in the negative thought or the thought that you know is going to get you down later, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So we wanted to talk about the fast. We wanted to talk about, I think one of the things I'm grateful for too, just keeping that mindset, is the fact you read so many books. And the reason why is because I get to be caught up in the books you're reading, especially the Audible ones. Because we'll like drive out to the farm and like do different things where we're in the car a lot together, or you'll just be hanging around, and I find myself like lingering closer and closer to her so I can listen, and then I'm like, oh, that book was so great, but I didn't read the book. She read the book.
You read like 5 chapters.
Yeah. And I even like to our friends, I'm like, oh, the book's so much better than the movie. I didn't read the book. She did, but I was just there. So anyway, I'm glad you read so many books. And you set that goal, and you've been killing it. How many books are you on?
I'm on number 5.
Yeah.
Of 48 for the year.
48 for the year, yeah. And so that's really good. And the benefit that has, like, I'm grateful again for the books, because even the ones that you wouldn't have read if you just read one a month or one a year, like the Jeff Bezos book. Like, who would have thought?
I would have never picked that up.
And that's had an impact on our business.
It really has.
And our lives, right? And there's this thing that he says about, like, what is it? I'm going to recognize and move on.
Oh my gosh.
I just messed you up.
I know. No, I like it. Disagree and commit.
Yeah, disagree and commit. It's been a game changer.
It was pretty legit. So he talks about how if his team comes to him and they say, okay, we want to do this, and he'll come back and say, this is what I think. I don't think we should do it. But they'll come back with a solid argument, right? And they really believe in the idea. He'll respond by saying, okay, I disagree and commit, and I truly want this to pan out, right? For the team, for y'all, right? And he said, and it's not, I'm saying like, well, I hope this idea falls through for you because you didn't agree with me, right? It's genuinely saying, I want you to succeed. I don't necessarily think it's the greatest idea, but I see your viewpoint, and I'm just going to commit to the fact that you're going to do this and support you in it. So
I love it. And so I think as we are starting to wrap up here, the next thing is being grateful for Andrew, right? And I think you said something before we went on, and what you do with little is what you do with much, right? And
it's actually in the Bible.
It's in the Bible, right? It's good. Yeah, what you do with little, what you do with much. And I think about when Andrew came on, right? You didn't know, but you took on that Jeff Bezos way of thinking because you disagreed with bringing Andrew on, but you're committed once he was here to help for the success of it. And so if y'all don't know the story real quick, so market was crazy. Things were going great during COVID times. Just the real estate in general was doing really well. We were closing lots of loans, and we needed help. And so I went to Andrew, and I was like, hey, Andrew, we need you. Can you come on and do our marketing for us, help us out? And he's like, I think I'm good. And then the market like crashes, right? Like everything's terrible. Like there's no deals. Rates are climbing like crazy. And Andrew's like, hey, where's my office? And like, no, you don't have a job here. There's no more job to be offered. And so then he comes by the office anyway. He's like, where would I sit? I'm like, well, you don't have a job here, but if the market comes back, then this is where you would sit.
He's very persistent.
Very persistent. He says, what should I do next? It's like, well, there's nothing to do, but look, make a list. I give this to all kinds of people. Make a list of 50 people. And then we'll top tier them to see who you can make appointments with who would potentially use you as a mortgage person. And so not only does he make the list, he made the list and started setting appointments. I'm like, what are you telling these people? I'm telling them to work for you. So we have a meeting with the leaders of our group, and we were like, all right, everybody gets a vote. We got to do something about Andrew because he's working for us even though we haven't given him a job. And so Gracie and myself, we voted yes, and Alicia voted no. And he came on and just, oh my gosh. He changed, like we weren't even the Kavanaugh crew. I don't know if y'all know that, but we've been doing this for a long time, and I've been doing this since 2008, and I've always been Matthew Kavanaugh of whatever company I worked for. And so when Andrew came on, we changed all that to where we are the Kavanaugh crew first. And yes, we work for a company, but Kavanaugh crew first, and just that has propelled us with our voice being louder and our purpose being louder, because I'm no longer trying to fly underneath the colors of a company. Like we are ourselves, and what we believe in stands out, and who we support stands out. And I just love being able to do that. And I don't have to be afraid of whether or not a corporation is going to approve or not approve of who we are, because we are the Kavanaugh crew. We just are who we are.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my Lash Tech this morning about Kavanaugh crew, because I was telling her, I said, so I don't think even people realize exactly what Matt's saying. We were nothing. I mean, we were just like, it's Matt Kavanaugh or it's Alicia Kavanaugh. And I told Andrew and Matt, I don't see how being, like, branding ourselves as Kavanaugh crew is going to make any difference. Like, I was completely convinced that it did not matter.
Yeah.
And 6 months in, it was insane. Like, what people were saying. People were wearing our hats, random people wearing our hats that we did not know. It was just very,
they worked for us.
Yeah, it was just a very cool experience seeing really the work that he had put in. Yeah. And so it was, what is that, like a year and a half of the market really just being a roller coaster, right? And what we were talking about is like, what you do with little is what you do with much, right? And the last year and a half is, I mean, what I would consider little. Like, it was, you are pushing through in a market that it's kind of like you're trudging mud, Yeah. And in the little, we just chose to focus on other things, right? We chose to focus on the brand, on marketing, on serving, things that we still do, but it was like, well, we don't have any more loans to process this one, so let's go ahead and go to Connections today. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, we have to keep moving. Like, this is sitting here wallowing. It's just not good for anybody. Yeah. And so we have to figure out how to make this work,
And over, I'll get people to ask me about social media, which I don't know anything about it. Like, part of my fast is not being on social media, which is funny because we're all over social media. But anyway, just the impact that's had, and people asking me to speak on that, and I'm like, I'll tell you what it's done for us, but you have to talk to Andrew about how. So just and the little and much part of it was he came in and that little effort of going beyond the no, because we told him no, and he just kept going anyway, right? And he has that same ability to keep moving through obstacles over and over again, even in bigger things. And so we've just seen him be able to do some really amazing things for us and our businesses, for him and his family. Like, I just love the way his work ethic, really. Like, it's really, I'm grateful for Andrew.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, all right. So I think that went a little bit longer than we thought it might. But hey, guys, thanks for sticking around with us. I had a lot of fun. Was it cool?
It was great.
It was cool. All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all next time. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.